Pure Krishna devotee.
Yeah, now devotee.
No, you pure devotee, Mataji.
No.
Krishna devotee, Radha devotee.
Yeah.
Old devotee.
Thank you for offering the apartment
Very old.
No, very old.
Very
But
for right now.
पहले प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट कर लिया मेरी माता जी इंट्रोड्यूस करते ना
No.
we should start the program
like parents.
we should start the program on मेरी माता जी
Oh, yeah. Mother.
Like parents.
Hello everyone, welcome to you in Sunday Feast program in Malmö, and we are at Amira 2008, and the program would be like we have first 30 minutes for the bhajan, and after that 1 hour a speech by the Manidhara prabhuji, and after that we have Gora Arati and Narasimha Arati and then Prashadam.
Now begins. Hare Krishna. Neighbors okay?
Yeah, okay. Nobody is there.
Yeah, nobody there?
Yeah,
everybody in after someone
I'm careful, you know. City is always chant and then some.
No, even in building people also, they are out as of now.
Anyway, we will see. Krishna just have to pick up something I forgot. So,
थोड़ा सा
Hare Krishna. So first we would like to welcome everybody. It's English, is okay? Yeah? Yeah, no problem. As it is customary, we always in these gatherings read from Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is the basis and the essence of all that we are doing in Krishna consciousness. So today we can speak about something very basic and essential, which is established in the Bhagavad Gita. This is actually meant for those who are looking for the truth, which is not an easy thing in this world. We are surrounded by lies and imaginations. It is based on the fact that actually we are already coming into this world, being born in this body with defects. Sometimes the cynics, I saw it even, they print t-shirts, nobody is perfect. And in essence, that's true. Whoever claims perfection in this world cannot be right, because this body is perfectly imperfect. It is perfectly designed, it is given by Krishna to us, but is equipped with imperfect senses. What we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we touch, it's very subjective. And we know that from our daily experience, depends what kind of consciousness we have. Somebody may come and say, oh, this smells so nice. And for somebody else, it's disgusting. I could use now a very vivid example Srila Prabhupada himself used from India. He used actually one which was really very extreme. He personally knew people who were living in Calcutta, who were actually, because in Calcutta there were so many rats, and you know, big city means actually big dirt. So people used to kill rats, and whatever they killed and this, they actually stuffed in a big jar, and they let it rot there for a long time. You know, closed it, and it became like a can with incredibly disgusting things. And after it was completely rotten, practically liquid, they sifted the whole thing, and the juice, that was for them like nectar. They spiced the vegetable with it and everything. So one cannot imagine more disgusting thing. But actually they were thinking this is very nice. But it's disgusting for us, it may be not very pleasant for somebody else. So our perception is very subjective. It's not perfect. Then we have tendency to cheat. They even have a division between bad lies and not so bad lies. Like a man who likes a woman, he will always cheat her. He will tell her, oh, you are so beautiful. Even in India, they say, even that is very subjective, because they say the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, the one who sees. So we think, oh, this is so beautiful. Like I have a personal experience, black people think all white women are beautiful. And black women think all the white men are beautiful. It's just a color of skin, but immediately the vision is colored. It's subjective. And a man will cheat. He will tell a woman, you are so special, you are so beautiful. Well, just to have some fun. Men do that. Women can cheat men beautifully. They will also make him feel, you are the hero. You are the only one. You are, what can I do without you? And any man will go, okay, yes, yes. Even he may be very stupid, he may be very incompetent, doesn't matter. Flattery is there, that's cheating. But there are flatteries which are not so bad. We say that, just to make people more comfortable, It's better to start a conversation with something nice to say as with some insult or something not so nice, even it may be true. Because truth comes very often in a very unpleasant way. Like the big message we have for everybody based on the Vedic scriptures, we are all going to die. That's true, absolutely true. We know that and we can see it all the time. Nobody can say, I don't believe in death. It's evident. We are all going to die. And we don't talk about this much. It's a truth which is quite unpleasant. Rather people think they celebrate birthdays, which is actually quite a morbid thing to do, because they celebrate this person died 1 year more, actually. Oh, happy birthday to you. You died 1 year more. It's actually quite morbid, But they actually take it as a momentum where they can express some appreciation. I'm coming from Czech Republic. This is the country of the most sinister jokes, very bad jokes. They like it. People like it when the joke is very bad. But anything but some problem, they make a joke. This is always like the way to do it. So even devotees, I remember I know one community, very nice bhaktas, very nice. It's like a big family. It's a mother, and then the sons, and they run a vegetarian restaurant in the town. They are very, very, very devotional in one sense. But when the mother was growing older and older and older, now the sons are grown up, they are all 30 years old. Some of them, they have their own family even already. So they decided on the 50th of birthday of the mother, they will stop. And they will always celebrate 50th birthday. The mother will not get older. That's it. Like this. Of course she got older, but it was a decision, very nice. It's a lie, but it's a nice lie, Happy birthday again 50. Happy birthday again 50. Just to forget, because old age, not so pleasant. I don't want to go now in detail, but it's not so pleasant. You look in a mirror and then all these wrinkles and shrinkles and everything starts to hang out and the body is changing. Prabhupada said, this is the proof we are changing bodies. He said, we don't have to wait to die. He said, we are changing bodies already now. I am the same person. So I can remember my body being that big. I can remember my body being that big. So the body is changing. They say, oh, it's growing up. No, it's changing. It's not the same body. But I am the same. I can remember. I personally do remember my children's bed. I remember such details from my babyhood even. Not childhood, even babyhood. I do remember that. I do remember what the kind of outfit I had. Well, that outfit now, I don't fit in this. I remember my children's bed, how it looked like. I remember pictures, I remember all this. But the body is gone. It's finished. It's over. You can look in any album, in any photos. This is just changing bodies. So we have tendency to lie. And we are sometimes taking things for being as they are not. Tendency to be an illusion. You think, oh, this is good. No, it turns out to be very bad. Then we think, no, this is not so good, this is bad. But actually, it's very good for us. So this is a tendency to be an illusion. So this is part of this bodily existence. Now for those who seek real truth, they want to see things as they really are. And as is stated in one Chinese proverb, intelligence means to see things in their origin. Where do they come from? Who arranged all this? Then we start to see things a little bit differently. Most people, they live like animals. They are only after the effect. Oh, something is moving. Let's go there. Oh, something happened. Horrible. Or, maybe something is, they expect something which will not come. You know, yeah. Even I have to say animals, there are some animals which are much more better equipped as humans. You know, dogs. You may not believe it, but dogs can be so intelligent. You know, they know when the man is quitting his job in a city, getting on a bus, driving home, the dog at home already knows that. How does he know that? Or there is famous syndrome that when a natural disaster comes, all the animals know already. The horses go crazy, the sheep go crazy, you know, they start to run here and there because there's an earthquake coming. How do they know? So animals, Prabhupada said it even to one devotee. He was a family man. He had a small child and he said, oh, it's so nice, one can learn even so much from children. Yeah, some things I have personal experience. Children are sometimes very honest, very straightforward. They don't think about the consequences what they say. They look at somebody and say, oh, you are so ugly. You know, they just say it and it's true. You know, so they have no problems with that. But Prabhupada said actually, no. What do you want to learn from children? Not much. But you can learn from animals. There you can learn. And there's a whole section of Srimad Bhagavatam dedicated to that subject. How a yogi learned simply by observing nature and animals. He sees a bee flying around. So he said, oh, this is how you take only the nice things, the essence from something. Like the bee is always taking only the nectar and then flies away again. The rest, not concerned with. We can learn from a tree how to be tolerant. Tree is just tolerating, giving fruit, and at the end they cut it even. And the tree doesn't protest. This is what you can learn from a mountain, how to be grave, how to be steady. Mountain doesn't move, you know, it just stays in its position. You can learn from so many things, you know. That yogi is even describing, I learned, I mean, he was not personally involved, just by observing. He said, I learned even from a prostitute. A woman standing on a corner, waiting for a new customer to come and nobody coming. And then, you know, nobody coming, and the woman was so impatient, somebody coming, I want to make some money. You know, nobody came. So at the end the woman said, what's the use of all this? I will give it up. So actually frustration can also bring some realization. What's the use? I'll give it up. You know, yeah, because it's not happening. So this is also, we can learn from so many things. But today we want to speak how to learn very fast. Very fast. We don't have to sit somewhere and just watch. We don't have to wait for some realization to come. We don't have to live our whole life through collecting experiences which may bring us some realizations. No. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. This is not written in singular, this is plural. Krishna says this, the self-realized souls, they are actually few. It's not like only one. But what is the qualification of such a soul? That's also described in Bhagavad Gita. First of all, he must be connected to Krishna. That's called Paramatma. Paramahamsa. Connected to Paramatma. Paramatma is Krishna in the heart. So an authorized spiritual master must be connected to Krishna, who is in everybody's heart also. So that's the reason why we can learn so much, because actually we are learning from Krishna. He is just reproducing what Krishna is saying. He is not creating anything new. He is just like amplification. Prabhupada gave also the example of a postman. A postman just brings the mail. He didn't create the mail. Sometimes it's a good mail, sometimes it's bad mail, sometimes it's a good news, bad news. He just delivers the mail. That's all. Srila Prabhupada said, I love this quote, he said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not criticizing, I'm analyzing. So a pure devotee simply observes, oh, what are the symptoms of a fool? And then he sees, oh, this person is a fool. You know, yeah, because he acts like that. Because his consciousness is like that. It's not according to the color of the skin, it's not according to the nation, it's not according to the place we are living in, it's according to our consciousness. And therefore, Prabhupada called this movement International Society for Krishna Consciousness. They actually, in the beginning it was a discussion, the first devotees, they said, Prabhupada, this is too specific. Shouldn't we call it International Society for God Consciousness? And Prabhupada said, there are so many conceptions, who is God? They will interpret anything into that. So we want to tell them straight, this is Krishna. And Krishna is not sectarian. When we study the nature of Krishna, we find it's for everybody. Of course, people externally, they immediately think, oh, Hare Krishna, you know, this is some sect, you know, yeah, because we dress in a particular way, we have something on our head painted, they don't know what it is. So they think, as soon as people actually don't know something, they try to put it into a box, you know, yeah. And it's very subjective. Here, you know, I came to Sweden in 1986. I was still quite revolutionary to be out there on the street dressed like this. Now it's still quite revolutionary, but people are already, yeah, there's so much burqa and all this, and everybody wearing something, and haircuts, you know, so much sikha around. Some sikhas are green, some are yellow, you know, hair being cut short. That used to be, when I joined this movement, absolutely revolutionary. What happened to your hair? That was the first question you got, you know. Yeah. What happened to your hair? That was shocking for the parents. The children joined and the son lost all his hair. It was a shocking thing, you know. Well, you know, we were laughing about this. And of course, when one is young, I joined when I was 18 years old, the provocation is there, the challenge. Okay, I will look very different like you. And I will cut my hair. Ha! Ha! This is the attitude, you know. Many devotees had it in the beginning. This provoking, you know, this, ha! You know, yeah. This is not allowed, good, you know. Yeah, and we will look different. And they used to dance on the street, you know, in a very provocative way. Look, that's how we look like, you know. We don't care for you. We don't care for anything and anybody. It's actually not the mood of this movement. But when you are young, it happens. When you get older, you get more, your realization come more from a deeper level. You don't need even to look different, you know. You don't have to do that, really, because you know you are different. You know, you don't feel threatened by being compromised from outside. You become more rooted in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. This is especially for those who are coming from the West. Those who are coming from India, well, they have much more easy time. Srila Prabhupada said practically all Indian are Krishna conscious, just a little bit covered. So you scratch a little bit, and then it's coming out. In West, you can scratch and scratch and scratch, and there's nothing coming. It's just obstinacy, atheism, arrogance, that's what it is. That's what you get. No, I don't believe that. Well, I believe, not believe. Do you think this is logical? Because we try to appeal to people to be logical. They go, I don't want to hear about this. This is the last argument. I don't want this. I am rejecting it. Why? No, I'm rejecting. I don't want that. Let everybody live as he likes. No, that's not possible. And here we come to something which is very important to know. People are rejecting authority. Why should I accept a spiritual master? Well, we will have to accept somebody anyway. Even the biggest atheist, the biggest anarchist, and the biggest terrorist, he will accept an authority. How do you become a big terrorist? You learn from another big terrorist. Or you join the other big terrorist. How do you become an atheist? You are reading books and you are studying. You are getting inspired. God doesn't exist. Yes, that's how he doesn't exist. And he doesn't exist. And he doesn't exist. It's amazing how atheistic people always have the need to talk about how God doesn't exist. If he doesn't exist, why to talk about it? We don't have the need any to talk about it because he doesn't exist. So why we should always talk about something doesn't exist? No, they have to always, because actually he does exist. It's a similar thing like women speaking badly about men. We don't need men. Men are useless. Men are stupid. We are here in a kingdom of this. It's called Sweden. And we don't need it. So why are you talking about men at all? Why are you trying to prove yourself and compete with the man if the man is so useless? So why you do that? Just ignore them. No, we need them. Same thing men do. They come together, and they go, women, but they talk only about women. One woman coming, and they are all, and they change immediately. Yeah? So why do you cheat like this? Why not just be honest? In Krishna consciousness, we try to be truthful on all levels. Prabhupada said truth means it's a quality of a gentleman. He likes to admit even his own defeat. When he realizes, I'm defeated, he goes, okay, I surrender, I'm defeated. That's called gentleman. That's truth. Yes, he's defeated. So why not just admit that? Why not admit I am limited? Why not admit I'm sometimes foolish? There are actually people who actually came to that level of realization. I could quote one very famous lady, very beautiful, all the world admiring her, coming from Hollywood. And the reporter asked the lady, how do you manage to look always so beautiful? And the lady just laughed and said, you should see me in the morning when I wake up. There is no photo of that, Usually when people wake up in the morning, they are not so beautiful. Or when they are distressed, when they are agitated. All these things happen in life. This is part of life. So this is why to build one's life on these lies. And we always, and this is actually one of the reasons, not only me, but many from my generation joined this movement. We didn't want to lie anymore. I'm coming from an artist community. I knew I will be lying my whole life. I must. Because I will be surrounded by other liars. art means often lying. This is art. Really? What is it? Art. And why is really art? Because it's very expensive. But what is it? Well, I could tell you stories from that part, that this is incredible. I was in an art academy when I was 16, 17 years old. We had exhibitions already. Young artists are exhibiting their artwork. And when you get a good gallery, that's the place where they sell these paintings. Then everybody comes. And you know who is coming? Young people, rich young men, enterprise men, who hope when they buy cheap such an artwork, later on when the artist becomes famous, then it's going to be a good investment. It's going to be very, very expensive. So they come to this kind of exhibitions, and they always have this, the artist is present. So I had a friend from our academy. He was specially cheating. He found his old shoes, tennis shoes, and he nailed them to a piece of wood and sprayed them with silver color, you know, and he hung it on a wall. Old stinky shoes sprayed in silver. And he just hang it on a wall. And I exhibited. Now I remember I was there. I was like 16 years old. I couldn't believe that. There was this young, man, enterprise, rich. And he was going, oh, this is very interesting. What is it? And my friend gave a lecture about these old rotten shoes for half an hour. He explained to him these shoes are symbolizing the progress of humanity into another dimension, another century, and all this. And he gave me a whole lecture on this. I cannot believe this. The man bought this piece of junk. I remember still the number for 4,000 German marks those days. It was lots of money. Of course, my friend, celebrating this cheating, he invited all the art academy for one evening, and they spent all the money just having a big party. That was the end of that action. But I already knew, I will not cheat like that. I don't want to cheat like this. This is all cheating, just to get some money. So Prabhupada said a devotee should also, especially in a family situation, he must make some money, of course. He has to work. But it should be in a minimal cheating level. Some cheating will always be there, but in a minimum cheating level. Whatever is needed, okay. And Prabhupada says business means cheating. He even gave an example in India, many Vaishyas or businessmen, they have mustache. Prabhupada had also a mustache when he was selling his medicine. And he said that's why people don't see how he is smiling when he's cheating. Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, as a businessman, he goes, oh, on you, sir, I will never make profit. But take it, It's cheating because he must make a profit, otherwise he wouldn't be selling this, So business means cheating, that's all. This is never. So better one makes some simple occupation, and maintains whatever is needed. Not too much, whatever is needed. Prabhupada defines it even to keep the soul and the body together. Of course, this is not very popular in today's economical thing, where more and more and more is pressed. You borrow money, you steal, you cheat, anything just to get to that money. This is all highly, highly compromising for spiritual life. Not only that, but we will never find the truth. Lies have one dangerous element. You get used to them. Actually, the biggest liars I met in my life were those who didn't even know they are lying. For them it was so normal, it was so natural to lie, they didn't even know it. And they got very upset when I told them, you are lying. I'm a kind of person, I allow myself to be cheated once, twice, and then it's finished. Then comes the heavy opposition, in whatever way. I don't care. And when the man, I have him on his throat and I go, you are lying. And he goes, why? Now you go, I can prove it to you, you are cheating. And those in India, you have to be a little bit like that. You have to go, bah! And they go, I don't, it's okay. They try, it's okay. Because clever businessman, he will just try, but he will also be able to go back. Here in the West, the cheating is done completely differently. It's on the highest level. Normal people, they will not even notice. They just go and they just work and this. But way up there, where the big money is, where the big thing, that's where the real cheating happens. Big time cheating. It's very professionally, it's hidden, nobody will find out. It's secret, it's sealed off. So this is the world we are living in. Now, in Krishna consciousness, we want to find the truth. And how do you find the truth? Somebody who is not just speaking the truth, but he's also living it. When he says life is meant to be simplified, and you can call it austerity, then he is simplifying his life and he is austere. This is called Acharya. Acharya is the one who teaches by his example. And we have that luck. There are not many devotees you meet like that. But we have the luck, we are coming in the line of Srila Prabhupada, who very evidently, it's documented over and over again, how exemplary his life was. Recently some of my godbrothers tried to convince me that I should also have disciples. And I oppose, so I totally oppose. And I challenged him a little bit. I said, so what does it mean? And he said, well, you do what you're already doing, and it's a little bit like to be a father. It was actually a very nice example. He said, you have to act exemplary because the children are watching all the time. They are watching even when they are not watching. I know from my life, and every child, sooner or later, there's a time where the children want to go on their own, and they oppose even the parents, But this is a temporary thing. What remains, and what is the major thing in children education, is the example of the parents. This remains very deep-rooted there. And I realized in my life, even my parents were not Krishna conscious, and when I was 18 years old, they were shocked. They were completely, what happened? And I took a completely different turn as what they would like to see. They were finally tolerant. They what could they do? But later on I realized how much actually I got from them. How much I subconsciously even copy in a particular situations the ways my father acted, my mother acted. And actually that's how I became very respectful to my children, to my parents, because it takes time. You could say I started to respect my parents after being 45 years old or something like this. Then I realized, that's what they were going through. Having also a child, having similar situations. It's not that different. So that's actually how we realize, this is actually, this is actually, being a spiritual master is not that much different. You have children, and they are watching. Even more so as normal children. When a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, you used to have a family, isn't it? I said, yes. So is your family Krishna conscious? Prabhupada said, not very much. Is your wife Krishna conscious? Prabhupada said, not very much. So are your children Krishna conscious? Not very much. And then Prabhupada smiled and he said, therefore I started another family. And he pointed to his disciples. And the Buddha said, Prabhupada ki jai! Because actually, that's how you felt. Anybody coming in that line, we are all more or less like children of Srila Prabhupada. He is like he used to call it the founder Acharya, not only just Acharya, but the one who started this movement. He gave us all these books, which we can rely on all the time. You know, we can read them all the time and find references. How do you find the truth? If we would be just that shloka in Bhagavad Gita, yeah, we could still speculate. You know, but Prabhupada explains every shloka has a purport. And they exactly explain. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord Himself. That's the first qualification. A spiritual master must have a spiritual master. If he doesn't have, he's nonsense. A Sunni in India is full of this. Oh, I woke up in the morning and I saw, in my heart, you know, might be, might not be. How do we know? So we are actually very rational on that point. We want to know, what is he living, what is he talking, and who was his spiritual master, what was he talking, what was he living. This is called disciplic succession. So it's a very sound process. It's not based on a mere sentiment. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. That's also an important point. That some people read books, they get even the right information, but they don't know how to apply it in their lives. Rather, they get proud. I was reading so much, and now I can talk. But what is my life about? And this is where spiritual master comes into the picture. He is actually there to monitor the life of a disciple and giving an up-to-date advice how in a particular situation we can progress. Because we are in a different situations. Like I joined this movement, I was 18 years old boy. I had only one girlfriend, and I was chanting, and she challenged me, it's going to be the monks or me. And I already knew the monks are more long-term program. You know, this will not work. Because, anyway, I don't want to go into this, but coming from a tradition in our family was always the saviors, the saving somebody. So when you have this kind of heritage, well, you get the lady, my only and first and last girlfriend, was a girl which was 16 years old. She wanted to commit suicide practically. She came from a very destroyed family, and so I was like emerging on a scene, and then she focused completely on me, and then just by that, she didn't commit the suicide. It helped. Yeah, but I knew this is not the basis of relationship. Just always watching somebody, he doesn't jump out of the window, you know. This is like, how do you have a family, or how do you make a relationships like this? Don't do that, don't jump out of the window. You know, it's like, that doesn't go forever like this. So there was a time to say bye-bye. And it was certainly cruel, it was not nice. But that was it, it was the monks. So this is the decision you make. So, therefore, one has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender. And one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. That's a challenge. Because we are coming all from the Western type of education. This includes India too. This is now in India also. You show me, I will learn. You show me. You know, I will be the judge of this, what you are teaching me. I will be the judge of sin, what it will do for me, and I will learn to get that and this benefit from that. This is all material line of thinking. Spiritual line of thinking starts with one realization. I know that I don't know. And as I don't know, then I have to listen to know. I cannot come up with. Questions are required. That's very much asked for. Relevant questions, but not challenge. In the West, it's challenge all the time. Nowadays, even in a school, I know it because my daughter was going to many schools already within first 9 years. She was going to one Czech school, one German school, and 2 Swedish ones before she came out of the 9th grade. And I always stayed very close to the teachers, just to make life more easy for her. And also because I really have some sympathy for anybody who wants to teach anything today. Anything. Because the arrogance and the obstinacy of the people who came to learn is so huge that you cannot teach actually much anything. Nowadays students can vote. We don't like this teacher, get out of here. And the teacher is finished. You know, so who is inspiring to teach anything if they, and what is the qualification of the people who vote? This is the whole defeat of this democracy. They always speak about the qualification of the leader. You come to Malmö, the first poster I saw, some lady, and time for new government. We are the new government coming. So what is the qualification of a leader? It's a new government. But actually he will be voted by people. The real question would be, what is the qualification of the people? And Prabhupada always on this point quoted Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, the essence of democracy is that many, many animals vote the biggest animal. They go, wow, he can eat us all. This is our leader. He's big. He is most ferocious, dangerous, ruthless. Well, that's a good quality. They vote. You know, small animals vote a big animal. This is in the essence what this democracy is about. Prabhupada called it demon crazy, not democracy. Because actually, what is the qualification of the people? And there is a karmic consequences to that. Previously, there was a king. He carried all responsibility for the whole kingdom along with his ministers. One wrong decision, all the karma for that, when any suffering of these people in his kingdom, that was his problem. You know, we know it from Lord Ramachandra and from Ramayana. We can learn how amazing Lord Ramachandra managed. Of course, he was God, so no problem. But, you know, people were so happy. You know. So you can judge also the leadership along the situation of the people. But the people should not complain because they voted for that. So the karma is divided among them. It's actually even stated in Shastra that the king automatically carries 1/3 of the whole karma of the nation. Can you imagine what that is? That can put you today in hell indefinitely. It's so bad. So the king is very responsible. And the people, they just worship the king. It's his problem, not my problem. It was manifested even on the battlefield. When a conflict came, the ideal battle took place amongst 2 kings. Not even the armies were involved. The army one side, the army other side, they were ready. But actually it was the kings who were fighting. And fighting to the death. That means only one survived. And the one who survived, it was only his army and his kingdom and they were going, the king is dead, long live the new king. And that was it, that was the war. Now, today, there's bombs flying everywhere, people being killed everywhere, destroyed everything everywhere, with no really, you know, this is a complete, just from the science of warfare, it's ghastly. it's just more and more bad karma piling up. So accepting a spiritual master actually brings so many benefits. People say, how can you... I was challenged for all these years standing on a street distributing these books. You get challenged all the time. And people are going, what are you talking about? You think you know everything? Huh? I said, no, I don't know everything. But I know somebody who does. Why don't you take the book and read a little bit? I don't need it. I know everything. Well, then you are crazy. That's simple. But when they go, how can you speak like this? It is not my invention. It's just what my spiritual master said. And what did he say? What Krishna said. Try to argue with that. I tell you quite frankly, now you realize gradually throughout the years, this position cannot be defeated. I'm not an intellectual, I'm not a very smart person, but I can challenge anybody. You bring me anybody here, anybody, from King Gustav up to, the chief of the Svenska Kyrka. I think, come on, tell me something. Anybody. And we can talk about anything. People are shocked when they realize it. They say, you have no doubts? No. And as one American reporter said, the problem with you, Hare Krishna, is that you have answer for everything. That in his perception was already proof that there's something wrong here. And people actually perceive it like this. They perceive surrender as stupid. How can you surrender like this? You're actually surrendering to something you don't know, which is actually to some degree true. Our challenge is, well, you too, and all the time. You surrender on all levels. Prabhupada gives a very basic example. A child wants to find out from the mother, who is the father? Well, he has to surrender. He has to accept the information. The mother will tell him, this is the father. Of course, nowadays, we don't know. But anyway, in a classical sense, the mother will know, this is the father, and the child has to accept. Because what else? Now, some scientists will say, oh, we found another way. I know that there are many women who have anonymous children. They simply go to some hospital, they get impregnated there by who knows who, they don't know, they don't want to know. And they get child. So when the child goes, actually, who is my father? Mother says, I don't know. But it can be found, by the scientific process of DNA test. But the situation is the same. Then you have to accept what the doctor is saying. My dear doctor, is this my father? And the doctor will say, yes, according to the DNA test, this is your father. You have to accept that. I don't even mention how many babies get mixed up in a hospital. Many. People carry home a baby, it's not theirs, They go, this is my... They switched it in a hospital. Some nurses were confused and they just switched the numbers and that was it. This can happen. So, how do we get the real knowledge? From somebody who knows. And why does he know? Because Prabhupada says very clearly, he knows because Krishna knows. Krishna is God, he knows. And I tell you quite frankly, those who were actually close to Srila Prabhupada, they got such a vivid evidence of this. It was shocking. They asked Prabhupada even managerial questions, which is not exactly the position of spiritual master. You don't accept a spiritual master to ask him where is the best dentist in a town or something like this, or some physical things. Or this. Prabhupada said, nah, you go to a doctor. But sometimes, in the course of managing this movement, Prabhupada was also a manager, so he made decisions. And he knew these devotees will not make any decision before I make a decision. But he actually wanted to delegate that process. He trained devotees that they are capable to make managerial decisions. But especially in the beginning, they were, oh, Prabhupada, what shall we do? We got this offer, There's many, if you study Prabhupada correspondence, you find so many lessons to be learned there. They wrote to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we got a fantastic offer in London. It's an old church, and we can buy it actually. And it could be we will finally have a temple in London, in the middle of London. You know what Prabhupada answered? Is there a parking lot? They said, no. Then Prabhupada said, don't buy it, because where will the people park when they come and visit the temple? Prabhupada was extremely practical. There are many examples like that. Or they really asked Prabhupada, shall we do this? And sometimes Srila Prabhupada didn't answer. He was like, okay, we should do like that. It was exactly like somebody making a phone call. When you see somebody making phone calls, he goes, yeah, oh, yeah, really? Okay. This was how Prabhupada made a decision, and devotees realized, wow, he made a phone call to Krishna. He is really connected. And this is how you realize somebody is really connected and he is a pure devotee. And traveling with Srila Prabhupada, you can read various books from those who were his servants and this. There were so amazing things happening. Even Prabhupada was amazed sometimes. He said, oh, Krishna is helping. This is amazing. There is actually a very internal, very sweet and amazingly dynamic exchange between pure devotee and Krishna. Pure devotee, he always wants to please Krishna. And Krishna wants to please pure devotee. So sometimes pure devotee has an idea. Krishna, I would like to have this temple for you. I would like to this. And actually, materially, it doesn't make really much sense. There's examples from the past. Mumbai temple came about like this. Mumbai temple, this is a whole story. I was not there, but I heard so many testimonies. It was crazy. It was a rejected piece of land owned by a man who was an incredible cheater. Prabhupada said, when I was walking here as a young man selling my medicine, I already thought this would be a nice place for a temple. And then came a momentum where Prabhupada said, okay, here we are. We have some money from the West. We buy the property. And he was warned, this man is cheating. What the man did, the owner, he took always some down payment and then he kept it. And then he cheated another person and kept the money. So he tried to do the same thing with Prabhupada. It was not possible. And it was a big battle, dangerous too. The man hired even killers, gundas, who came to actually shoot devotees. But it was all accelerating to an incredible drama. It was the only temple Prabhupada first installed deities. A non-existing temple, in a kind of shed. The place was full of snakes. The pujaris were to go on the altar. They had to kill snakes all the time on the altar, just to get... It was a crazy place. Prabhupada said, there will be a temple here. There will be a temple. I want that temple. And some of other devotees watched how Krishna removed this obstacle from his path. The man, the cheater, he died. And suddenly everything was like, when the attacks came, the gundas, from the Indian congregation, some gentlemen, but there's especially one, he had 2 sons, and Prabhupada glorified him very much. He said, this is the real warrior, kshatriya. When the warning came, there's a whole truck of this gundas coming, armed, with machete and this, and they want to drive devotees from the land. They met, actually, when they came to the entrance to the property, there was this man standing there with his 2 sons. And actually all other devotees were hiding, they were not there. He was alone, 3 people. And there was a truck full of these robbers, these heavy armed guys, and he had a gun in his hand. And his sons, as they had also some weapons, I don't know what. And he said, welcome. And he counted. On this truck which came, there are 12 of you sitting there with machete. I have with me 15 bullets. That means it leaves still, 3 left, just in a case I miss. And I tell you, I don't miss. I will kill you all. And they were sitting there on a truck, with this machete, and they were like, they knew the man is completely serious. He will do that. So they turned around and left. Prabhupada said, this is the real Kshatriya. Completely fearless, totally fearless. So things happened. This happens when you are close to pure devotee. You get amazing things to watch. And it is not at the end. If you connect yourself to Srila Prabhupada, if you connect yourself to his mission, you will find amazing things will happen. You will say things which normally you would not say. You will do things which you normally wouldn't do. And you will be part of something which is beyond your imagination. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated it many times in his life. Devotees were just, Prabhupada, this is impossible. Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. You don't have it in Krishna consciousness. And he was going ahead. Sometimes also diplomatically he withdrew. He knew these people don't have the potential, they're not capable actually to accept this now, so he just withdrew. I just came across a simple example of in Srila Prabhupada's presence, some of his disciples became so empowered. He was sending them to various locations. I have a practical experience. I'm not a German, but I joined in Germany. Our leader became so bold, so charismatic, and such an enthusiastic preacher. So many people came because of him. So actually they start to worship him like he's a guru. Even he was actually a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. It ended up with a situation, his picture ended up on an altar, like the next guru. This was a big scandal. Immediately there was a news coming to America, to Srila Prabhupada. You disciple, they are worshipping him like it's you. And Prabhupada's response was amazing. The first thing he said, just see how they love him. Completely non-envious. He said, just see how they love him and how successful he is in his preaching. But he should wait a little bit. It is not polite and it is actually not permitted that a disciple will take up disciples in the presence of his guru, if his guru is still alive. That's etiquette. It's established. Like Srila Prabhupada did initiate, but after his spiritual master left, in his presence would be not, then you guide people to him. This is actually what you do. So Prabhupada established that like that. But he did it in a very gentle way. He appreciated. Oh, look how successful his devotees, they like him so much. But he should wait a little bit. And surely enough, when Prabhupada left, he left this list of names, 11 names, and the name of the devotee came up. He was on that list. So, and actually it was quite doubted. My good brother said, some of these 11 names, some of them are quite passionate people and quite controversial, you could say. Like specifically when it came to my god brother in Germany. And Prabhupada said, he did such a great service. Don't you think I can give some reward? It was so kind, it was just so generous. Anyway, I don't want to go now more in detail. The mistake which was evidently then came up, it was considered that this list of these 11 names was final. That was it, forever. No, Prabhupada never said that. He said, I want everybody of my disciples becoming a spiritual master. But again, according to the qualification, not like automatic. There's nothing automatic in Krishna consciousness. Everything has a reason, everything can be testified and can be proven. You should always remember that, so we don't get cheated. I'm automatically like this. No, nothing is automatic. Everything has to be verified. Who is a spiritual master? Who is worthy to be approached? Well, he has to have a qualification of a spiritual master. So we should not blame anybody. Oh, I was believing and I was thinking, I was feeling, but now I'm cheated. What is this? How is that possible? No. This is all our problem. Because we actually should verify and we should be careful and not to be just sentimental. Everything has a reason in Krishna consciousness. That doesn't mean being suspicious again. We are taking the risk. And even Srila Prabhupada, you know what he said? He said, pray for me so I don't fall in Maya, in illusion. I mean, this was absurd. Everybody was going, what? He is saving us from all the illusion and now he is telling us we should pray for him. It's ridiculous. But actually pure devotee thinks like that. He knows how powerful illusion can be. Maya is beyond our imagination. She can come in any form. She can come in any way. Don't worry, she will have a tilak too. She will have a dhoti. She will have a sari. She will look very devotional. Prabhupada said, Maya is a pure devotee. She will come even into the temple. So there's no place safe from Maya in this world except that we are directly under the direction of a spiritual master. Therefore, they take this issue so seriously. This is a very serious issue. Initiation is not some fashion. Srila Prabhupada was very liberal in this regard, but less and less at the end. He said, don't bring to me these people who are not qualified. Already, evidently. We have already enough trouble to deal with disciples who get attacked by Maya on the way. Prabhupada was very tolerant towards weakness, but not towards purposeful neglect. Some people always think Prabhupada was so merciful, he was so merciful. And no, he was merciful, but in another way. So when a disciple came and said, Prabhupada, I am doing this and this and this, and I do so much nonsense, I am so happy. And Prabhupada said, then be very happy and go to hell. That really happened. I was shocked. Prabhupada is sending me to hell. Because, he was neglecting the instruction of spiritual master. So before we are not sure we can follow, we should be careful with this. And we should actually accept guidance. And there's a guidance in various forms. Technically spoken, it's called shiksha and diksha. Shiksha means actually the devotee who can give very good and authorized advice. But it's an advice. It's not an instruction. We can follow it. We don't have to. It's voluntary. Once we have a spiritual master, no. That's an instruction. And if you don't follow it, then there's reactions coming. How many people I saw in my lifetime kind of happily chanting Hare Krishna, then they got initiated and they became very serious suddenly. Oh, what happened? I'm not so happy all the time. Because Krishna goes, okay, now you became serious, so now it's going to be serious. No, this Hare Krishna, Krishna again, bye-bye. No, now it's serious. And now some devotees get shocked. They go, oh, this is really serious now. I feel so bad when I do certain things. Before I didn't feel so bad. How comes? Yeah, because Krishna is now more serious. This is how Krishna becomes, you have to go back home, back to Godhead. And this is a serious thing. So Krishna consciousness is serious but not unhappy. Usually in the material world, people connect serious to some really serious face. You know, I'm coming from the art direction, so I always remember in a Renaissance, in the time where things became a little bit more liberal in regards to the church here in the West, the prototype of a serious man came up, like kind of scientist. He is thinking deeply about the origin of life or whatever, but he's thinking. And the picture was always the same. It struck me always like an art student to see these portraits of the prototype of a scientist. Like he had one hand was resting on a globus, the earth. And usually they all had beards. And the other hand was resting on a skull. They are all dying. Very serious. You know, so the serious means sad. This is not being serious in Krishna consciousness, no. You know, people sometimes have a hard time to understand. They are happy, they are dancing on the street, they are singing and they are serious. They cannot be serious if they are so happy and dancing. You go to university, you go to any kind of school in the material sense. You see somebody being happy there? Not really. They are all serious. You know, yeah. That's one of the reasons also you don't see that many happy people in Sweden. You know why? They think too much. They think, am I now serious? Am I happy? How does one feel when one is happy? If you think like this, you're already unhappy. The real happiness comes naturally from inside. It's generated from a spiritual source. It's natural in a true sense because this is really us being part of Krishna, serving Krishna. Well, then we become happy and that's it. There's no need even to analyze it further. You are where you belong, you do what you should do, and you become happy. Prabhupada said, gives an example of a child which is just disturbed and ends up on the lap of a mother. And then is satisfied. Yes, everything is okay. It's automatically happy because it's in the right place and it's protected. So then it's happy. You know, this is a natural symptoms of somebody who is situated in Krishna consciousness. He is actually content. I'm doing even imperfectly and even with so many, but I am actually doing what I can do. I am at least connected to Krishna through a pure devotee, and I am actually engaged in. That's very nice. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated this quality in the middle of America, hippies, craziness, having no money, old man, so diseased, and almost dying. Prabhupada was happy. Devotees were shocked. They were going, the man has nothing, he's old and sick, and he is happy. Because Prabhupada knew, I'm serving my spiritual master, I'm connected to Krishna, I'm happy. There's one beautiful scene, from Mukunda Maharaj who describes that, how he was with Prabhupada. He was actually in charge for San Francisco. That was like the headquarters where all the hippies were collecting at that time. So there were many young people and searching and taking especially drugs, exploring new type of consciousness, Anyway, so they were actually, Prabhupada got invitations to make some programs in their hippie communities. And one of the programs was so disastrous. Mukunda brought Prabhupada into this kind of environment, but it was full of these people who were intoxicated. They practically had sex there on the spot. They couldn't listen from Prabhupada hardly anything. So Prabhupada was just making kirtan at that moment. And the lecture he gave was like to somebody else. He was going, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming and participating in Krishna consciousness. And there was this hippies lying around completely, So it was actually a disaster. So when they finally ended the whole thing and they walked on the street, which the streets were full of these young people, it was summertime, they were all lying around, intoxicated, having sex, anything. So it was like, that was the end of the hippie movement already. It was coming to the end. So they walked through this ghastly kind of scenery. And Mukunda was so embarrassed. He said, what did I do with Prabhupada? I took him to such an obnoxious place. Then he looked at Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was smiling, completely satisfied, walking down the street. And Mukunda said, Prabhupada, that program was horrible, isn't it? And Prabhupada smiled and he said, no, it's very nice here. And Mukunda couldn't, why is he saying this? And then he understood, he is happy because he's finally engaged in a mission of a spiritual master, completely disregarding the material circumstances. He is in his constitutional position where he belongs. And that makes Prabhupada so happy. So this is what makes us happy in Krishna consciousness. And that means actually accepting an authorized spiritual master. And Prabhupada is warning, he says, in this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only one should hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind towards the disciple, and therefore when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocating of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. So there's an interrelationship. It's not like you take a spiritual master, put his picture on a wall, offer some food to him, and that's it. No, this is okay, but this is just the beginning. The real thing is exchange of inquiries and cultivation of Krishna consciousness. And that's how we can make progress. And that's actually how Krishna consciousness becomes palatable. It becomes actually very interesting. Some questions or points to this? No. It's a big subject matter, but it's a very essential one. I don't want to challenge anybody from India, but this is in India very, very, when he speaks about this in India, it can become very challenging. Because they all go, I already have a spiritual master. Very often people, I have a spiritual master. I don't need any spiritual master. So then you ask, well, what is his qualification? He is amazing. He is amazing. He has a long beard, long hair, and he can do amazing things. He can go, and there's gulab jamun. This is not mentioned here. Gulab jamun producing spiritual masters are not mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And then things get a little bit uneasy sometimes, I know that. But still, there is one wonderful quality in India, especially in India and in Russia, these two places I found. People love to follow authorities. This is a very good quality. Unfortunately, sometimes misused. And they like to always, in India they always go, who is coming? Unfortunately, and Prabhupada was very upset about this. He said they copy even this nonsense from the West. Oh, big man from the West come. Oh. Indians have nothing to learn from the West. The West is degraded and is falling apart. And we said the same thing. I said the same thing 50 years ago, being first time in India. There was specific atmosphere because, coming like this, white man dressed like this, chanting Hare Krishna. People were falling in a dust, paying obeisances to us. They said we are like demigods. And we knew we are not demigods. It was so embarrassing. Such a wonderful, sometimes old Vaishnavas, The whole life they did nothing as to chant Hare Krishna and worshipping Radha Krishna. What did I do? I was just 3 years in Krishna consciousness, It was really embarrassing. But the idea to follow, it's very good. It's just a question who to follow. Russia, the same thing. You know, Lenin, Stalin, there were always millions and millions of people. Hey, 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 Lenin, Stalin, and they all got killed by their own leaders. But there is an idea to follow. It's very good to worship God, but the essential point is to know who is God. And it's very good to worship a spiritual leader, but it's most important to know who is a spiritual leader. Srila Prabhupada stressed this point over and over again. He said, we want to know who is talking. Even there is a nice talk, but we want to know who is talking. And if we find he's doing just nonsense, don't listen from him. He will cheat you. Prabhupada was very, very rigid on this point. Can you imagine, they invited him in India, they have these big conferences of spiritual leaders. I don't know if they still do that, but it used to be big. Pandal, you know, in Calcutta, and big yogis coming, and big gurus coming, and wow. And Prabhupada didn't want to go there. But they said, no, Prabhupada, you can go on a stage, you will be able to speak. And actually, it ended up in one of these programs that Prabhupada was just sitting there with his disciples, like a listener. And the big guru on a stage was giving some typical Mayavadi, you know, it's all love and peace and all one and the same. And suddenly Srila Prabhupada got up, was going kirtan, and started to chant. And of course his disciples followed automatically, completely interrupting that speaker. And you know, and they couldn't understand because he was speaking in Hindi, you know, so they couldn't know. But Prabhupada got really started. And he just walked out with the kirtan. It's a big scandal, you know, but Prabhupada was not tolerating. He was able to appreciate anybody who was, you could say, pure in his purpose. Prabhupada was very sensitive what people want. So when he saw a big guru and he just wants to cheat, then he got activated. And when he met a simple person, not a big philosopher, but sincerely, you know, searching or sincerely presenting himself, immediately Prabhupada was completely available and very kind and very warm. Otherwise, how could he deal with us? We didn't know anything, nothing. You know, Prabhupada's lectures, the first lectures, he goes, after the lectures, was asking for questions, some questions. Nobody even knew what to ask. Then one lady said, Prabhupada, when I chant Hare Krishna, there's always a light over my head. Prabhupada said, just keep on chanting, it will be switched off. And then the next question. I mean, these are the kind of questions Prabhupada got, you know. It's just like, and he was so tolerant, always, because he knew these people, they don't know. But when somebody stood up and say, I know, follow me, oh, then things got very serious. Very serious. To collect people and follow me, well, you have to know what you are talking about. And you also have to be exemplary in your behavior. We have a high demands for leadership. High demands. And this is what we got from Srila Prabhupada. So therefore, we have no other choice as to take shelter behind Srila Prabhupada and say, you know, follow him. Because then we are safe. Okay. And they go, what about you? Trying, yeah. The best we can. But if you really want to get shelter, follow him. And anyway, I don't want to go now in detail, but then there are those who say only Prabhupada is a guru. Nobody else can be guru. Well, who are these people? You know, defining that Krishna cannot empower anybody anymore? They forbid Krishna, that nobody else can be empowered. There's another nonsense going on. You know, yeah? Srila Prabhupada said, I want all my disciples became gurus. And they say, no gurus, just Prabhupada. What do you mean by that? Instead of going in this from one foolishness to another, it's more productive to discuss what is the qualification of a spiritual leader. That's the real question. What is his qualification? In our line, the most important qualification is you represent Srila Prabhupada, word by word, action by action, instruction by instruction. That's the real qualification. Otherwise, what can we do? Prabhupada said, as soon you hear somebody talking, I think, I believe, in my opinion, Prabhupada said, you can immediately leave the place. There's no need to listen what he's saying, because I think, I believe, in my opinion, that can change tomorrow. I mean, what to listen from such a fool? We want to listen something which will be there even tomorrow, all the time, forever. This is the real knowledge. It's not changing. Some other questions, something like this, or you can proceed with the program. Artik? Gaura Artik. Shall we just chant to it, or special song? No. Just chant. I'm just Nashing at Okay. Okay.
Thank you for today. And
Jai. It's nice to come here. I personally, I very much like this personal gatherings. This is for me personally much more inspiring. As in Russia, I end up sitting there, 7,000 devotees there, 7,000 people. You cannot speak to anybody, really. It's nice that there's so many came. It's wonderful, but you cannot really talk to much anybody, Krishna consciousness is something very personal. And if you study Prabhupada's preaching, it was very personally oriented. Actually, Krishna Prabhupada spread this movement through the whole world with only very few devotees. Those who were actually really pushing, there were very few. And you can find it out when you study his correspondence, his letters. They're always to the same people. Because that was a team he was really pushing. And then so many others came. But that was the leaders. There was not so many. So it's very personal. And Prabhupada you cannot imagine what you get to read there. He said, Prabhupada traveled around the world all the time. And he writes to Jayapataka Maharaj, he writes, you didn't wrote me any report since 1 week. There was no internet, There's no internet, nothing, no email, nothing. Real letters in envelopes. How they catch up with Prabhupada, I don't know, but it was always like that. And Prabhupada said, you didn't brought to me anything for 1 week. And another devotee writes, Prabhupada, I don't write you so often, I don't want to bother you with, you have so many other things to do. And Prabhupada said, I'm here for being bothered. Each single line of your letter I take seriously. So keep on writing. This is so encouraging, because there was this personal contact. Jai Jai. Okay.